There are moments in life when the noise fades and something inside you begins to ask questions you can't ignore. Questions that reach deeper than logic, deeper than fear. Questions that touch eternity itself. Have you ever felt that quiet pull in your heart, as if something beyond this world is trying to get your attention? You wake up, live, work, smile, and yet there's a whisper that never leaves. There must be more than this. And that whisper isn't doubt. It's your soul remembering its origin. It's the voice of God calling you back to what truly matters. We spend so much of life running, chasing goals, approval, possessions, but no matter how far we go, peace always seems to stay just one step ahead. That's because peace isn't found in what you achieve. It's found in the one who created you. And whether you realize it or not, every person who's ever lived must one day face the same 5 questions. Questions that decide the destiny of the soul. They're not easy, they're not comfortable, but they reveal the truth that transforms everything. Maybe you've been searching for answers in the wrong places. Maybe you've been carrying doubts you've never said out loud. Or maybe you've simply been too busy to notice that something sacred is still trying to speak to you. Today, that changes. Because what you're about to hear isn't just another message, it's a mirror for your soul. If you listen closely, you might discover that these aren't questions coming from me, but through me, from the one who's been waiting for you to slow down long enough to hear him. So before we begin, take a deep breath. Open your heart. And if this message already feels like it's meant for you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Not out of routine, but because spreading light might help another soul find its way home too. Now, listen carefully. Because the journey begins in silence, and it's in that silence that the eternal begins to speak. There is a silence that few people ever truly experience. It's not the absence of sound, it's the moment when the world's noise finally stops echoing inside you. You may have felt it once, standing beneath a sky full of stars, or in the middle of the night when sleep wouldn't come. That strange stillness where everything external disappears, and you realize that something within you is still awake. That something is your soul. And though you might ignore it, silence is where your soul begins to speak. We fill our days with motion and sound, rushing, scrolling, talking, planning, but even surrounded by people, we can still feel empty. That emptiness isn't failure, it's an invitation, because when life grows too loud, the divine voice becomes a whisper, not to hide, but to see who will stop long enough to listen. In the silence, the illusions begin to fall away. The masks, the pride, the fear, they lose their power. And underneath, there's something pure and ancient waiting for recognition, the part of you that remembers heaven. It's in this stillness that God speaks. Not through thunder, not through spectacle, but through the soft conviction that settles deep in your spirit. He doesn't shout to be heard. He waits to be invited. Maybe you've avoided silence because it felt uncomfortable. But silence isn't emptiness, it's presence. It's the sacred space where you begin to hear what truly matters. So pause with me for a moment. Let everything fade, your worries, your plans, your fears. Listen closely, not with your ears, but with your heart. Because when the world grows quiet, heaven begins to ask. And the first question that rises out of the stillness is the one that defines everything that follows. Who is God to you? Question 1. Who is God to you? Not as the world describes him, not as tradition defines him, but as your soul knows him in its quietest moments. It's a question that pierces through every layer of who we pretend to be. Because everyone speaks his name, yet so few truly know him. You can repeat verses, attend services, say prayers every day, and still never encounter his heart. So pause for a moment and be honest with yourself. Who is he when no one is watching? when the lights are off, when the noise fades, when the only sound you hear is the voice inside you. Who is God to you then? For some, he's a rescuer, the one they run to when everything falls apart. For others, he's a rule, a judge, or a concept too distant to feel. But what if he's none of those things? What if he's been beside you all along, not waiting to condemn, but to comfort? Think of this. The same hands that shaped galaxies also shaped you. The same breath that gave life to creation still fills your lungs right now. And the same heart that holds eternity has room for your name. When you begin to see God not as an idea but as love itself, everything changes. Faith stops being a ritual. It becomes a relationship. You stop performing for His approval and start resting in His presence. God doesn't ask for perfection. He asks for presence. He doesn't want rehearsed prayers. He wants your truth. He wants your doubts, your fears, your failures, your hopes, all of it. Because that's where love begins, not in the polished moments, but in the honest ones. Maybe you've known about Him your whole life, but never felt Him. Maybe disappointment built a wall between your heart and His. But listen, He never left. Every time you felt unseen, every time you thought no one cared, He was there, silent, patient, waiting for you to turn toward Him again. So, who is God to you? The answer doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real. Because once you see Him for who He truly is, not a concept, not a symbol, but the very reason you exist, peace finally finds its way home. And when that truth settles into your soul, another question rises gently, as if heaven itself is asking, what have you done with the time God has given you? Question 2. What have you done with the time God has given you? Time. It slips through our fingers like water, yet it's the most sacred gift we will ever receive. Each sunrise is an invisible invitation from heaven. Here, take another day. Try again. But how often do we truly see it that way? We live as if time will always renew itself, as if tomorrow is guaranteed. We rush through days, chasing achievements, pleasing others, filling the hours with noise and calling it progress. But at the end of it all, when the world grows quiet, many hearts whisper the same truth. I was busy, but was I alive? The truth is, time is not measured by clocks. It's measured by meaning. Every second offered in love echoes in eternity. Every act of kindness, every word of forgiveness, every moment of gratitude becomes part of heaven's memory. But the minutes spent in resentment, comparison, or worry fade into nothing. They leave no light behind. Ask yourself honestly, how have you been spending the time that God placed in your hands? Are you nurturing what lasts, or are you trading your peace for things that vanish? You can't control how much time you have, but you can decide what you'll do with the time you're given. Maybe you've wasted years chasing approval, or lived too long replaying mistakes. Maybe you've been waiting for the right moment to change, not realizing that this very moment is the right one. God doesn't want you to count your days. He wants you to make your days count, because every moment surrendered to Him becomes eternal. Even a single minute spent in truth can outweigh a lifetime spent in distraction. So take a breath and look at your life, not with regret, but with renewal. You are still here, which means your purpose is not over. And as you hold that truth close, another question begins to rise quietly. One that reaches even deeper into the heart. What still occupies the place in your life that belongs only to God? Question 3. What still occupies the place that belongs only to God? Every heart has a throne. Something or someone sits there. It might be success, fear, comfort, pride, control, or even another person. But sooner or later, we all discover that whatever we put in God's place can never fill the space it tries to occupy. We were designed to hold divine presence. That's why no amount of wealth, applause, or pleasure ever feels like enough. The soul hungers for the eternal, but we keep feeding it the temporary. Ask yourself quietly, what is ruling my heart right now? Is it the need to be right, the fear of being alone? Is it the endless pursuit of more validation, more control, more distraction? Sometimes the things that steal God's place don't look evil. They can even seem good, a dream, a relationship, a calling, but when they begin to consume your thoughts more than His voice does, they've become idols wearing familiar faces. God's love is not possessive, but it is complete. He cannot fully dwell in a heart already crowded with other masters. And that's why letting go feels so hard, because surrender means space. Space for Him to move, to lead, to heal. You might fear that releasing control means losing yourself. But what you lose in control, you gain in clarity. And what you give up for Him, He replaces with peace no one else can offer. So take a look inward. What still sits on the throne of your heart, where only the Creator should reign? Whatever it is, lay it down, not out of guilt, but out of love. Because when God becomes your center again, everything else finds its rightful place. The noise lessens, the burden lifts, the soul remembers who it belongs to. And when the heart is finally free from what once ruled it, a new light begins to rise inside. A softer one, the light of forgiveness. Because after we've released what competes with God, another question must be faced, one that touches the most fragile parts of who we are. Have you truly forgiven and asked to be forgiven? Question 4. Have you truly forgiven and asked to be forgiven? Few things reveal the state of a soul like the way it handles pain. We all carry wounds, some carved by others, some we carved ourselves. And though time may dull the memory, unhealed pain never disappears. It hides beneath the surface, shaping our words, our choices, our hearts. Forgiveness. It sounds simple, doesn't it? But real forgiveness is not an emotion. It's a decision. A sacred act of surrender that frees you from the chains of what once broke you. Maybe someone betrayed your trust. Maybe they never apologized. Maybe you're still waiting for justice, for closure, for something that never came. But forgiveness doesn't excuse what happened. It releases what it's doing to you. Because holding on to resentment doesn't punish the other person. It poisons your own peace. And forgiveness isn't only something we give, it's also something we must ask for. Have you asked forgiveness from the people you've hurt, intentionally or not? From the moments you spoke in anger, stayed silent when you should have spoken, turned away when someone needed grace? Have you asked forgiveness from God, not because He demands it, but because your heart longs to be free? Forgiveness is the language of heaven. It's the bridge between justice and mercy, between who we've been and who we're becoming. It doesn't mean forgetting, it means remembering without bitterness. When you forgive, you don't erase the past. You rewrite its meaning. The wound becomes a testimony, the pain becomes wisdom, the scar becomes a sign of survival, proof that love was stronger than the hurt. So ask yourself gently, is there someone I need to forgive? Is there someone who needs to hear my apology? And even if you can't reach them, speak it to God. Because forgiveness begins in the heart, and heaven always hears. Once you've released that burden, you'll feel something shift, a peace that's not of this world. And in that peace, another question rises, the one that reaches beyond time itself. If your life ended today, would you be at peace with God? Question 5. If your life ended today, would you be at peace with God? This is the question that silences every excuse, every defense, every distraction. Because in the end, nothing will matter more than the state of your soul before the one who gave it. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. The noise of the world fades, your last breath leaves your body, and you find yourself standing before the presence of perfect love. A love that knows everything about you, every choice, every thought, every secret, nothing hidden, nothing ignored, just truth and love. Would you meet that gaze with peace or with regret? For some, this question stirs fear. But it shouldn't, because God doesn't call us to fear Him. He calls us to know Him. To live in peace, not panic. He isn't waiting to condemn you. He's waiting to embrace you. Peace with God doesn't come from religion, rules, or reputation. It comes from surrender. The quiet, honest moment when you say, "Lord, I can't save myself, but I give you my heart." You see, salvation is not earned. It's received, it's a gift offered freely, but only accepted through choice. And the choice is yours right now in this breath. No matter who you are, no matter what you've done, no matter how many times you've fallen, grace is still reaching for you. Heaven is not reserved for the flawless. It's promised to the forgiven. All God asks is that you open the door. He already knows your name. He's already calling you home. So if your life ended today, would you be ready to step into eternity without fear? Would you be able to say, "I made peace with my Creator. I lived for what mattered. I am His and He is mine." Because the truth is, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. But eternity is, and you can choose peace right now before another second slips away. Let this moment be your turning point. Let the walls fall. Let the pride dissolve. Let the love of God fill every corner of your being until fear has no place left to hide, because the soul that rests in Him never truly dies. It simply goes home. And as you hold that peace, as you feel that love wrapping around you, one final invitation begins to stir. Not a question this time, but a prayer. Close your eyes for a moment. Forget where you are. Forget the noise, the clock, the world outside. This moment is just you and God. If your heart feels heavy, let it be. If you've been running, stop. You don't need perfect words. He already knows them. All you need is honesty. Whisper this, not as a formula, but as truth. "Lord, I'm here. I've wandered, I've doubted. I've tried to carry what was never mine to hold. But today I surrender. I ask for your mercy. Forgive me for the ways I've drifted from you, for the love I've withheld, for the moments I forgot you were near. Fill me again with your peace. Heal what's broken inside me. Teach me to walk with you, one step, one day at a time. I give you my heart, completely. Now breathe. That's grace you're feeling, the quiet presence of the one who never stopped loving you. Because every prayer like this is heard, and every heart that turns toward heaven finds home again. And when you're ready, let's take one last step together. When the prayer ends, the silence that follows isn't empty, it's sacred. It's the sound of heaven breathing peace into your soul. And maybe for the first time in a long time, you can feel it. That gentle stillness that whispers, "You're not alone anymore." These 5 questions were never meant to frighten you. They were meant to awaken you, because life isn't measured by how much we've achieved, but by how deeply we've allowed God to transform our hearts. Let their echoes stay with you. Who is God to you? What have you done with the time He's given you? What still occupies the place that belongs only to Him? Have you truly forgiven and asked to be forgiven? And finally, if your life ended today, would you be at peace with Him? If these words touched something inside you, don't let this moment fade. Share it, because somewhere another soul is waiting for the same awakening you just felt. Leave a comment below. Tell me which question spoke to your heart the most. I read every message, and your story might be the light someone else needs to see. And if you haven't yet, take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next here on Inner Light, Infinite Wisdom, where every message is created to remind you of the divine power that lives within you. We'll meet again soon. Until then, keep your vibration high and your mind connected to the divine. See you in the next video. Until then, keep your vibration high and your mind connected to the divine.